Sony has announced the UK pricing for its A90J Master Series OLED, and the price of the largest 83-inch model is actually quite tempting by my standards. Let's talk about this. Hello everyone, Vincent Teo from HDTV Test here. In this video, I'm going to be covering a few things. 1. The official prices for the Sony A90J in the UK, Ireland, and also in Germany. 2. How this sort of pricing has been achieved, especially for the 83-inch model. 3. What other competition do we have in terms of OLED at around this size class, namely 83-inch WRGB OLED? And 4. What other competition, including mini LED TVs or just generic LED LCD TVs, we have at around the 80 plus inch size class? And last but not least, I'm going to give you some predictions about the stock availability of this 83-inch model. So let's start with the official pricing. In the UK, the 55-inch Sony A90J will retail at £2,700. The 65-inch A90J will retail at £3,500. And the largest, biggest 83-inch model will cost only £7,000. I say only because if we take the history of previous Master Series OLED from Sony themselves, the 77-inch AG9, or it is known as the A9G in the USA, I think it started off with a launch price of around £8,000 about 2 years ago. And this 83-inch Sony A90J will have a launch price that is even less, with a larger screen size with even higher peak brightness. And if we look at the prices in Germany, the company has set the retail price for the 55-inch A90J at €2,600, which is slightly cheaper than what we get in the UK, again, rip off Britain. And then the 65-inch model will retail for €3,500, yet there is no pricing for the 83-inch model. And if we remember from what happened in the States, I think, the 55-inch A90J went on sale for around $3,000, and then the 65-inch A90J retail at around $4,000. And initially, the pricing of the 83-inch model was published as $8,000 by B&H Photo Video, but I think, the pricing has been pulled, so I'm not entirely sure whether that is still the official pricing for the 83-inch A90J. But given the official pricing of £7,000 in the UK, I would be inclined to believe that the leaked price of $8,000 for the 83-inch A90J in the USA will come true when Sony eventually announced the pricing in that region. So this video is sponsored by Box, the online technology store. Visit box.co.uk for the best deals on TVs, soundbars, and all your other technology needs. My question is, how has Sony been able to achieve this sort of pricing for the largest OLED ever, albeit only in 4K resolution, and add a heatsink, acoustic surface technology, and all the goods, and still come under 5 figures? And I think we have to look at LG Display, who is the panel supplier. And I think you have to understand that this year, LG Display is really ramping up the production at its Guangzhou factory, therefore lowering the cost as they can actually scale up the production. And they are using this technology called Mmg Technology. This stands for multimodal glass. What this means is that the South Korean brand can actually cut different sized panel from one piece of 8.5G mother glass. And the 83-inch model will be cut from the same mother glass as 48-inch panels. So an 8.5G mother glass will have dimensions of 2500mm by 2200mm. What LG Display can do is to cut two 83-inch OLED panels and also two 48-inch OLED panels from one such mother glass. And if you look at this cost analysis report from DSCC, or Display Supply Chain Consultants, you can see that with the use of Mmg Technology, the cost price of the 83-inch OLED panel from LG Display is actually even lower than the 77-inch 4K OLED panel produced by LG Display maybe last year or even the year before without using Mmg technology. So Mmg has certainly reduced the cost of producing really large OLED panels, and therefore it is probably not as surprising to see the price of the 83-inch Sony A90J Master Series OLED come under 5 figures. And I think £7,000 is going to be music to the ears of many of you who have been wanting large-sized OLED but couldn't quite stretch yourself to afford the 88-inch 8K OLED in the form of the ZX, Z10 or this year's Z1 series. So I think, the 83-inch A90J is certainly a very interesting TV on the books of Sony, not only on the books of Sony, but also anyone interested in a large-sized OLED. Because I think, among OLED TVs that are launched this year, I only know of another competitor in the 83-inch size class to the Sony A90J, and that is going to be the LG C1 series. So the LG C1 will be available in 48, 55, 65, 77 and 83 inches. But I think one crucial difference between the LG C1 and also the Sony A90J is that the Sony A90J has been marketed to be capable of even higher peak brightness due to the implementation of not only a metallic heatsink, but also the likely use of LG Display's newer OLED panel, which is capable of even higher peak brightness. But as far as we're aware, the LG C1 will only be using an OLED panel that hasn't been pushed to achieve even higher peak brightness. LG this year has rejigged their lineup, so the higher peak brightness panel, or what they are marketing as OLED Evo panel, will only be reserved for its flagship G1 series, so the C1 series, even though it carries the 83-inch model, won't be getting this higher peak brightness panel that has been developed by LG Display. And the way LG Display has improved this panel compared to previous conventional WRGB OLED panels is by doing two things. One, by adding a new green emitting layer, and two, by substituting the hydrogen compound in the blue OLED material with deuterium. So this brings us to another very interesting question. With a price of £7,000 for the Sony A90J, what should LG price the C1 in the 83-inch model at, to make it tempting to potential buyers? I think, if you price it at a similar level of £7,000, unless one is a hardcore gamer that absolutely needs 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, which the C1 has, but the Sony A90J doesn't, then I think most people would naturally just go with the Sony A90J because of the brand, because of the higher peak brightness. So it is certainly going to be quite interesting to see what LG priced the LG C1 at when they announced the pricing. I don't think, there has been any formal announcement of the pricing except in Germany, when I think they actually announced the price to be 8,000 euros. And I think that 8,000 euros for the LG C1 83-inch model versus maybe 7,000 or 8,000 euros for the Sony A90J, I think many potential buyers may be inclined to go with the Sony, but we shall see. And looking onto the wider market, obviously the market is not made up of OLED alone. There is severe competition, especially in terms of price, from LED LCD or in 2021 mini LED TVs. And I think the 85-inch Samsung Q90A Neo QLED will retail at around £5,000 maybe, because in the States where the US pricing has been announced, the 85-inch Q90A actually will retail for $5,000 US, and it is at least a good $2,000 or $3,000 cheaper than the 83-inch Sony A90J, and it's bigger by 2 inches as well. Not that it's something that will bother me at night. So from that point of view, I think it is going to be quite interesting, the battle between mini LED TV versus the super large OLEDs, on this front. But the 83-inch A90J hasn't received any concrete dates of availability. And I think part of the reason is because It is a brand new 83-inch panel from LG Display, and maybe it is still in production in their factory in Guangzhou, China. So I think we may have to wait a while, maybe towards the second half of the year, before we can get our hands on the 83-inch A90J. But I think, if you're expecting a price reduction come Black Friday, I think it is going to be quite unlikely. I take you back to the situation with last year's 48-inch model. And because the 48-inch OLEDs in terms of the LG CX was cut from the same mother glass as the 77-inch panel, so supply was really quite restricted, and therefore it didn't actually receive much of a price drop, if at all, even come Black Friday. And I fear that the situation may be very similar with the 83-inch panel. And obviously the price alone will stop the 83-inch OLEDs from being as popular as 48-inch gaming OLEDs. But I think if you're expecting a drastic price drop come Black Friday, you may be disappointed, because again, I stress that the 83-inch panels will have to be cut from the same mother glass as the 48-inch panels, and we do not know for sure how many such 83 inches LG Display will be cutting at factory and supplying to both LG and also Sony. And especially with Sony pricing the 83-inch A90J at already quite a competitive level, I really can't see much of a drop in terms of the pricing come Black Friday. But again, I've been wrong before on this sort of prediction, but let's see what transpires this Black Friday. If you'd like to watch more videos on 2021 televisions, I've created a playlist here if you'd like to click on it, and I'll see you in the next video.